My MIL told me to throw my newborn in the trash, entitled Mothers-in-Law Reddit Stories. Just hours after I gave birth, my mother-in-law whispered something to my husband that will forever be etched in my mind. We should have brought the car seat and just taken him home with us. While some might dismiss it as a twisted joke, considering her history of crossing boundaries, it sounded like a threat. This was the same woman who called my baby her baby throughout my entire pregnancy, so I was already on high alert when she came to visit. She barely glanced at me before scooping up my son, and then uttered those chilling words to the nurse and her husband. The look I shot my husband was pure fire, and even now, 7 months later, that comment haunts me. This wasn't her first offense. When we announced our engagement, she offered insults instead of congratulations. Why are you engaged to her? I hardly even know her. Her statement was absurd, as I had been dating her son for years and had even lived in her house for several months. Furthermore, she would constantly try to rip my son from my arms without asking, forcing me to request basic courtesy. Why should I have to ask to hold my own grandson? You're being weird. Every refusal was met with a flood of tears and her playing the victim, a performance I had grown weary of. This need for control manifests in many families, such as one woman who clashed with her mother-in-law over a pair of shoes. My 6-year-old son is a huge fan of Kirby from Nintendo, so he adores anything pink, Kirby's color. But I discovered that my mother-in-law, who had recently visited, had thrown away his favorite sparkly pink sandals without a word. Dear, I threw them out because they were too girly. We can't have him being bullied for wearing those ridiculous things. He only chose them because of his favorite character's color, yet she unilaterally decided to censor his taste and dispose of his property. It was the height of hypocrisy, claiming to protect him from bullies while being the first to bully him for his girly interests. In an even more horrifying case, a woman received a lifelong shock after briefly entrusting her baby to her in-laws when she was sick. The moment I saw my son after my husband brought him back, I felt all the air get knocked out of me. Because my baby, who was only a few months old, had his head completely shaved bald. The mother-in-law screamed that there was no rule against haircuts, while the husband was so shocked and furious he broke down in tears. My husband could only bring himself to leave after seeing how terrified and scared our crying baby was. These unilateral actions, done under the guise of protecting a child, ultimately leave deep scars on both the child and parents. In one extreme case, a mother-in-law unleashed a tirade of verbal abuse simply because her daughter-in-law didn't want her baby's photos on social media. She sent a message that said, "Take your disgusting baby and throw him in the rubbish." She didn't hesitate to call the new mother a dog and even told her son to put your wife and baby in the toilet. However, the story of a brave daughter-in-law who cleverly handled her own situation gives us a glimmer of hope. I finally got my chance for revenge against the mother-in-law who loved to snatch my baby from my arms in public. The moment she tried to forcibly take my baby again, I began to scream that she was hurting him. "Mother, what are you doing? You're breaking his arm. Why do you always hurt the baby?" Instantly, all eyes in the room turned to the mother-in-law, who let go of the baby as if she'd been electrocuted. After that public shaming, the mother-in-law never dared to improperly touch the baby in her daughter-in-law's arms again. Sometimes, a firm stance and a wise strategy are necessary to fight back against unjust demands and control disguised as family. Double tap the screen for good luck.